With Maxine Waters going batshit crazy and encouraging her constituents to harass Donald Trump's cabinet members and even go so far as to also harass his supporters, encouraging people to harass them at their homes and not even give them an opportunity to sleep. Her words, not mine. And the Red Hen restaurant kicking Sarah Huckabee Sanders out, but then doubling down on the trashiness by putting a message on their phone so that when you call them, it explicitly states in a recording that if you are a Trump supporter, you are not allowed in their restaurant, and if you come in, you will be kicked out. Well, the left isn't looking very good this week. It seems like they'd need a distraction, especially considering that Donald Trump now has the opportunity to elect a second Supreme Court justice. What? Wait, didn't a president recently get to do this? All right, let's move on. So, I guess the flavor of the day, the thing that would get people's eyes off of the real news and onto something else quickly enough that they would have a chance to catch their breath and think up a new narrative, would be a mass shooting. That's right, this epidemic of the United States that is unique to this country and this country alone. A mass shooting that always happens when the left is looking the worst. Now, don't believe me, say I'm trying to politicize it. That's just fine. Let's go ahead and look at the news from February 13th, 2018. The Obamas unveiled their official portraits. Now, there was kind of a shitstorm when it came to that because people made fun of those portraits like crazy. They were unabashedly mocking the Obamas for how awful their portraits were and how very stereotypical it was. Beyond that, Vanessa Trump, Donald Jr.'s wife, was hospitalized over an envelope with a suspicious substance in it. That's interesting. Oh wait, here's some big news. This involves the Clintons. Oxfam deputy chief resigns in backlash over Haiti scandal. Oh, okay. Now I see where it's getting. So, that's February 13th, right? Now let's look over to Florida's 23rd district. It is a district that is currently headed by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the former DNC chairwoman, the one who assisted heavily in screwing over Bernie Sanders. So you Bernie bros really ought to be butthurt over this one. To try and force Clinton upon this country. What happened in her district? Did a school get shot up? Why, yes it did. On February 14th, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School was shot up by a shooter whose name you know and I don't need to say because the bastard doesn't need the publicity. It's strange to me. At the time, I thought to myself, whatever, okay? But it distracted the nation. It distracted the nation for months because everybody's eyes were suddenly on David Hogg. Yes, people talked about the Broward County Sheriff, Scott Israel, and his cronies who wouldn't go in to dare stop a teenager with a gun, despite the fact that they go into dangerous situations all the time. This time, they stayed outside while multiple people were slaughtered. That's interesting. Almost like they were trying to get a high kill count because that's what makes the news. Then we have David Hogg pushing an anti-gun movement. Yes, we also have that other bald girl, but she kind of fell off the news because she's a little too nuts for the media to want to actually take seriously. David Hogg turns out to not be a survivor at all. He wasn't even there. In his own words, he got on his scooter and with his camera in hand hurried over to the school because he'd heard what had happened. And he wanted to get as many pictures as he could and interview as many people as he could in the moment. Well, if you were there, if you were a survivor, you wouldn't have had to hurry there. Long story short, nobody thinks about the Oxfam deputy chief resigning anymore. Nobody thinks about people putting suspicious substances in an envelope and sending it to Donald Trump Jr.'s wife. People still make fun of the Obama's portraits. In short, when the left is looking bad, when the left has, I'm going to say, more than two things in the news that just make people want to look at Trump and say, you know, he's not so bad. There's going to be a shooting. You know there's going to be a shooting. Now, if you liked this video, of course, please hit that like button. Share this with your friends because information, knowledge, is power. And I like the idea of things being spread around that make it clear that the Clintons will do whatever they need to protect their own asses. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and end this because we're coming up on 7 minutes. I'm going to send this on out there. Thanks. Goodbye.